Hello and welcome to MenopauseWize. I am Dr. Supreet Patel, and with us today we have Dr. Heidi Lescanec. Dr. Heidi is a licensed naturopathic doctor practicing since over 2 decades with a background in both cultural anthropology and the healthy cooking field over 30 years. Her own big life transitions have led her to a much deeper understanding of how our nervous system, our daily habits, and nutrition choices can lead to a state of being in or out of health. She sees true healing emerge by addressing the root causes of imbalances with deep nourishment on all levels. And today we will be discussing tools that can smoothen the menopausal transition for women. So, welcome, Dr. Heidi, and thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much.
So, let's get started with the first question. The menopausal transition is inevitable for every woman, and we're all aware of that. But is suffering an option? What I mean is, can preparation during the years approaching perimenopause and menopause make it easier or change the way one experiences menopause?
Absolutely. I think there is so much that we can understand about how our body functions that can assist us with having a more easeful transition. I think of it being so much like puberty in reverse, which I'm not the first person to have said that. But it is a transition. So there are changes that can be disruptive and can be uncomfortable, much like puberty. But it's also kind of knowing what to expect and having a sense of like, yeah, these are things that show up on this road. And that there are things that can ease those or soften the bumps on that road, I think are absolutely what, I'm very interested in sharing these days.
So could you tell us more about these things? Let's just start with things that can make it easier and then look at the flip side and perhaps tell us what can make it worse.
Yeah, well, I definitely think having nervous system support is key. Sleep, good, solid, deep restorative sleep. And sleep is one of the first things to show up as being disrupted during the perimenopause transition. But of course, many years prior to that, women can be dealing with insomnia. And then the third thing would be exercise. I think these are the three key foundational pieces that set us up for a smoother transition. Of course, because I'm a naturopathic doctor, many people come in and see me and they're very interested in, herbs or supplements or bioidentical hormones. And by all means, those can soften the symptoms that arise. But I also think it's a disservice to skip over the foundational scaffolding. It's like just those fundamental everyday choices and habits we have and commitments we make to ourselves, I think are what provide the absolute biggest gains that I see in women in my practice. And I know from my own life. And I think we've shared too, just the critical, element of exercise, whether it's for like bone health or, muscle mass and memory and cognition, all the things that exercise helps with. So these things I think are the key foundational pieces that aren't often, we don't come across those so much online as quick fixes because there isn't a lot, of an industry particularly behind those elements that are teaching us how to like live our days in a way that's in alignment with our bodies.
Absolutely. But when we talk about smoothening the transition, when do you think would be a great time to start working towards it?
Oh yeah, wow. Well, in our 40s, I think would be ideal. But even prior to that, I mean, if we could have the same amount of education about what healthy aging and maturing looks like, I think we would be really set up for a more graceful experience of aging in general. So I think one thing that I notice, and I've seen a lot in my practice, is much younger women very concerned about skin health, as far as not acne so much, which is, that does happen, but a lot about wrinkles, actually. There's a consciousness about what I do today, my sun exposure, my skin care routine, my moisturizing will affect my skin when I'm older. And there's a great interest in anti-aging, and so I think your question is so relevant because there is a consciousness about what I do today impacts my skin tomorrow. And I think less so about what I'm doing with, my diet and my lifestyle will affect my hormones in the future. So yeah, I would say 40 would be kind of fundamental time, but even 30s would be wonderful.
Right. Considering there would be a fair amount of women who could get menopausal around 45, especially when you look at the global average, Indian women tend to get menopausal around 5 years earlier, which is around their average is around 46 years. So perhaps
Wow.
starting a little earlier for them, maybe a better way of them approaching menopause later on. So
Yeah.
coming